Good evening, friends, fiends, and night owl supremes. Welcome to A Bit Late, where tonight we are falling in love with an elven knight. Yes, it's an older Scottish tale in which a princess sort of ignores all the rules. And anyway, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's a good one, albeit short. There is a Halloween haunt involved as well, which is good for any time of the year if I do say so myself. But, as always, get comfy, get cozy, summon your familiars about you, put a whole pot of tea on the boil, or grab some hot chocolate or hot apple cider, snuggle up in some blankets or make a fort with them, your choice. Light your candles and turn on your fairy lights as we dive into this cozy and handsome tale, The Elven Knight. The autumn wind blew sharp and shrill around the turrets of a gray stone castle. But indoors the fire crackled merrily in my lady's bower, where an old nurse was telling a tale of Elfin to Janet, the fairest of Scotch maidens. When the story was finished, Janet's merry laugh echoed through the halls. The old nurse nodded her head earnestly and said, "'Tis well known, my lassie, that the people of Elfin revel in the hills and hollows of Scotland. Come close and I'll tell you a secret." Janet leaned forward and the old woman whispered, "An elfin knight named Tom Lin hunts the moorland on the border of your father's estate. No maiden dares venture near the enchanted place, for if she should fall under the spell of this elfin king, she would be obliged to give him a precious jewel for a ransom." "One glimpse of the elfin knight would be worth the rarest gem I have," laughed Janet. "How I wish I could see him. Someone has the hots for the elfin knight." "Hush, hush," said her nurse tremblingly. "Nay, nay, my lady, mortals should have nothing to do with the people of Elfland. By all means shun the moorland at this time of year, for tomorrow is Halloween, the night when the fairies ride abroad." But the next morning Janet bound her golden braids about her head, kilted up her green kirtle, and tripped lightly to the enchanted moorland. Oh, Janet, no. When she came near, she saw lovely flowers blooming as happily as if it were midsummer time. Oh, no. She stooped to gather some of the roses when suddenly she heard the faint, silvery music. She glanced around, and there, riding towards her, was the handsomest knight she had ever seen. His milk-white steed, which sped along lighter than the wind, was shod in silver shoes, and from the bridle hung tiny silver bells. Beautiful. When the knight came near, he sprang lightly from his horse and said, "Fair Janet, tell me why you pluck roses in Elfland." The maiden's heart beat very fast and the flowers dropped from her hands, but she answered proudly, "I came to see Tom Lin, the elfin knight." "He stands before you," said the knight. "Have you come to free him from Elfland?" What a twist! At these words Janet's courage failed, for she feared he might cast a spell over her. But when the knight saw how she was trembled, he said, "Have no fear, Lady Janet, and you shall hear my story. I am the son of noble parents. One day, when I was a lad of 9 years, I went hunting with my father. Now it chanced that we became separated from each other, and ill luck attended me. My horse stumbled and threw me to the ground, where I lay stunned by the fall. There the fairy queen found me and carried me off to yonder green hill. And while it is pleasant enough in fairyland, yet I long to live among mortals again." "Then why do you not ride away to your home?" asked Janet. "Ah, that I cannot do unless some fair maiden is brave enough to help me. In 3 ways she must prove her courage. First, she must will to meet me here in the enchanted moorland. That you have done," declared the knight. Then he stopped and looked pleadingly at Janet. Whoa! All her fear vanished, and she asked, "In what other ways must the maiden show her courage?" "She must banish all fear from him. To that too you have done," said the knight. "Tell me the third way, Tom Lin, for I believe I am the maid to free you." Me. "Only my true love can prove her courage in the third way, fair Janet." And the maiden answered, "I am thy true love, Tom Lin." "You just met him, Janet." "No, what?" I guess when you know, love at first sight or love at first hearing from a story. Anyway, I am thy true love, Tomlin. Then heed what I say, brave lady. Tonight is Halloween. At the midnight hour, the Fairy Queen and all her knights will ride abroad. If you dare win your true love, you must wait at Miles Cross until the Fairy Queen and her elfin knights pass. I shall be in her train. But how will I know you among so many knights, Tomlin? Then Lady Janet asked. Well, I thought you loved him and he was your love. You wouldn't recognize him, Janet? What, is he wearing a helmet? Probably. But anyway, I shall ride in the third group of followers. Let the first and second companies of the Fairy Queen pass, and then look for me in the third. There will only be 3 knights in this last company. One will ride on a black horse, one on a brown, and the third on a milk-white steed, said the knight, pointing to his horse. My right hand will be gloved, Janet, he continued, but my left hand will hang bare at my side. By these signs you will know me. What if it's a big ploy to release some evil into the world, Janet? I don't know, what's your gut saying, Janet? I shall know you without fail, nodded Janet. Oh, okay then. Wait calmly until I am near you, then spring forward and seize me. When the fairies see you holding me, they will change my form into many shapes. Oh no, do not fear, but hold me fast in your arms. At last I shall take my human form. If you have courage enough to do this, you will free your true love from the power of the fairies. It's a lot. I have courage enough to do all that you say, declared Janet, and they sealed this promise with a kiss. And parted. Gloomy was the night, and eerie was the way to Miles Cross, but Janet threw her green mantle about her shoulders and sped to the enchanted moorland. All the way she said to herself over and over, on this Halloween at midnight I shall free my true love, Tomlin, from Elfland. At Miles Cross she hid herself and waited. How the wind from the sea moaned across the moorland. Presently she heard a merry tinkling sound of far-off music, and in the distance she saw a twinkling light dancing forward. Janet could hear her heart beat, but there she stood undaunted. The Fairy Queen and her train were riding forth. In the lead of her first merry company of knights and maids of honor rode the beautiful queen, whose jeweled girdle and crown flashed in the darkness. Stunning. The second group passed quickly, and now came 3 knights in a third group. One rode on a black horse, one on a brown, and there came the milk-white steed last of all. Janet could see that one hand of the rider was gloved, and that one hung bare at his side. Then up leaped the maiden. Quickly she seized the bridle of the milk-white steed, pulled the rider from his horse, and threw her green mantle around him. There was a clamor among the elfin knights, and the Fairy Queen cried out, Tomlin, Tomlin! Some mortal has hold of Tomlin, the bonniest knight in my company. Then the strangest things happened. Instead of Tomlin, Janet held in her arms a bearded lion, which struggled mightily to get away. But she remembered the knight's warning, hold me fast and fear me not. Is this where the tarot card strength comes from? I wonder. The next moment she held a fire-breathing dragon, which almost slipped from her. I would say that's a big grip. But she tightened her grasp and thought of Tomlin's words. The dragon changed into a burning bush, and the flames leapt up on all sides. But Janet stood still and felt no harm. Well, thank goodness, I was worried. Then in her arms she held a branching tree filled with blossoms. Is this a callback to the dryads and the nymphs? And at last Tomlin, her own true love, stood there. When the Fairy Queen saw that none of her enchantments could frighten Janet, she cried out angrily, The maiden has won a stately bridegroom who was my bonniest knight. Alas, Tomlin is lost to Elfland. Poor queen lost her handsomest knight, but oh well. Out into the darkness rode the fairy train. Tomlin and Lady Janet hastened back to the grey stone castle. There, in a short time, a wedding feast was prepared, and Tomlin, who was really a Scottish earl, and Lady Janet, the bravest maid in Scotland, were married. The end of the Elfin Knight story. It was a nice, short, sweet story, But I can't help but think about this from the old nurse's perspective, right? One night, the autumn wind is blowing sharply and shrilly against the turrets. You're telling a story about the elfin knight who you shouldn't approach lest you pay for your ransom with a gem. Literally the next day, or that same day, Janet goes out, finds him, and rescues him, comes back home with him that night, or the night after. But seriously, it's within a day, day and a half. The nurse must be like, what? Hello, what now? Hey, I can't even imagine. It's just the sheer dumbstruckenness I would be in if I were in the nurse's place. But yes, this was the Elfin Night. Be wary of Halloween haunts and everything else, and make sure you know what you're doing if you're going to rescue a prince or an elfin knight of your own. But I do hope you enjoyed this little short Halloween story. Hope it made your night a little warmer or your day a little bit more pleasant. But now, off to sleep and dream what you will, or stay a while and enjoy another tale. Whichever you choose, I'll speak to you again, and until then, stay spooky, my friends. Good night.